dangerous. So each and every sign that we see in the house, we must take seriously and seek medical attention as early as possible. Another thing that finishes our people is drugs that we must talk about when we are dealing with mental health, because almost 70% of cases in Bosire, they are sales of drugs. If you look at the history well, unaanza huyu mtu alianza kutumia miraa, ametumia pombe, ametumia gum, glue, ametumia marijuana. So 70% of these cases are from drugs. So we must identify this within our youth. Don't protect that your youth, because as parents we are in that denial. Umeletewa maneno huko kwa shule ati mtoto yako ameanza kukua hivi. Na you deny, you support unamwambia huyu mtoto wangu hawezi kuwa hivyo. Huyu nimemfundisha vizuri na tunaendanga naye kanisa. Some of these cases, as a child amekuwa for drugs for 5 years na hajawahi julikana. So inalipuka tu wakati sasa unaona behavior ni tofauti, ameanza kuokota makaratasi, ndio napelekwa wapi? Madhari. But these things we can prevent, because you as a parent, immediately you see a change. You can notice, because huyu mtoto umemzaa, ama kama ni ndugu yako umekaa na yeye, you can really detect easily. So let us detect these things and not cover our children, cover our brothers, cover our sisters. Kama maneno imekuja, imetoka shule, ama imetoka mahali wanafanya kazi, take it with that seriousness. Kalisha huyu chini. If you think you can't do that, engage as a psychologist or a professional. Amuongeleshe kando, atakubali. Na akikubali atasaidika. So that hawezi enda kwa ile psychotic stage. I know there are some people who become psychotic because iko kwa damu. Iko kwa damu because a good number of mental issues ni mtu amezaliwa nayo. Na anaanza tu akiwa 14 years of age. At 14 years of age you can start seeing some signs of mwenye amezaliwa na hizo gene. Huko shule unasikia mtu anataka kujiua. Anaanza kujiuma, anajikata, ana behave, anaona vitu yenye wengine waoni. So those are signs that start at 14 years of age. So, but the point is, we must identify mapema and we seek intervention as early as possible. So, I would want to give my colleague Amos to talk about various types, because we'd want to know. Najua wetu wengine wamejua mental health ni ile wale wanaokota makaratasi. Hapana, we have very many types. So wacha aongelee, akimaliza I'll conclude after him, alafu tukiendelea. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Happy Sabbath. Happy day. I will be very brief, lakini pia si brief kidogo, but I'll take like 10 minutes to 15 minutes. Nasikika huko nyuma, si ndio? Haya. So tumesikia what is mental health. Near well-being of our psychological, our perception, our thinking, wellness. Now this mental health, wakati haiko venye inafaa inaitwa mental illness. Tunaelewana? Inaitwa mental illness. There are various types of mental illness. Si venye amesema, si watu wanatembea tu wanaokota vitu peke yake. It might be in our home places, our workplaces, schools, kwa magari. Acha nianze na kuwachekesha kidogo. Siji kama mshaingia kwa gari and then unapata tu mtu anaongea na simu kwa sauti fulani si normal. Mshaisikia kitu kayo? Mshaiona kwa gari? Unapata mko kwa gari, mtu ameshika tu simu, tumetulia, ameanza tu kupiga kelele yenye si normal. Huyo mtu ukimfuatilia vizuri utapata kuna disorder inaitwa ni histrionic disorder, attention seekers. Unapata anataka tu asikie, mjue yako hapo. Lazima mjue huyu mtu niko area, wacha nipige kelele wasikie niko hapa. So is a problem iko, especially nataka kuanza na hiyo disorder, personality disorder. Nimeanza na personality disorder. Is a mental illness yenye mostly iko kwa adolescents. Mko kwa nyumba vizuri, you planning to eat, mtoto amechukua tu maji amemwagia TV. Wewe unapuuza tu ati ni normal, unaendelea kupuuza. Ukipuuza 1 week unaona hiyo behavior bado inaendelea. Anachukua tu kiboko amechapa mwingine tu bure. Si ndio? Yani is trying to seek your attention. Mjue I'm around. Kuna disorder nyingine inaitwa schizophrenia. Hii yenye mnaona sasa hapa barabarani. Mtu anajiongelesha. Si mnaona watu kama hao? Anapick karatasi. Si ndio? Yani aogi, ajia kwa wapi. Huyo ni mtu anaweza enda asimame huko kwa Thika Super Highway, amesimama tu hivi. Mshaona watu kama hao? Inaitwa schizophrenia. Na schizophrenia unaweza ijua through these symptoms. Unapata mtu ameanza kuwa na hallucination. Hallucination is when unaona vitu zenye sisi hatuoni. Unaona? Ameanza kukuambia saizi niko kwa ndege, na ukimwangalia ako kwa kiti. Huyo mtu ana hallucinate, ana imagine ako Dubai na yuko Dubai. Mshaona watu kama hao? So kwa nyumba ukiona because hiyo hallucination iko pia kwa depression yenye imefika maniac episode. Depression yenye stress yenye uja solve, stress 1, stress 2, stress 3, imefika sasa imekuwa maniac, umeanza kuwa psychotic venye alikwambia. Unapata huyo mtu kwa nyumba hata anaweza jiongelesha, anaongea na simu yenye haiko. Hapo tu hello, nakuona nakuja. Na unashangaa huyu sasa anaona nani huyu mwenye mimi simuoni. Sio kupenda kwake. Sawa? Ni brain imeanza kuharibika. Kuna kitu inaitwa delusions. Delusion ni ile anakuambia saizi mimi ni president. Mimi ni pastor. Nataka nifungue kanisa yangu saizi, nikuwe na watu wengi, niwachukue wote mbinguni. Na ukiangalia huyo mtu anakuambia anataka kukua pastor, number 1 hajaoga. Number 2 hajienda kanisa. Number 3 ni mtu hajaongea na watu hata siku moja. Si ndio? So ako too much religious. Inaitwa grandiosity ya religion. Ama mtu anajiona boss. Mumetulia tu hivi, amestuka ameanza kuambia, unajua mimi ndio CEO. Mimi sasa ndio CEO hapa hivi. Mimi ndio CEO hapa. I'm sorry to say, kama uko na victim, I'm sorry to say, si kupenda kwangu, lakini acha niseme because hizi ni vitu zingine youths wanaelewa. Siku hizi wanaziita stories za ajaba. Sijui kama umesikia kitu kama hiyo. Stories za ajaba. Yaani ni stories zenye as make sense. Nikikwambia sasa hizi hiyo story, ukiniuliza in the next 5 minutes, I don't remember what I've said. Umeona? So schizophrenia kuna kitu inaitwa flattered speech ama planted affect. Unapata huyo jamaa hawezi kitu ataongea I relate. Utamuuliza unaitwa nani? Amekwambia, anakujibu nimekula sukuma. In fact niko tao. In fact kuna venye niliitwa asubuhi, aziconnect. Umeona? Aziconnect. Akona flight of ideas zenye aziconnect. It's not a normal thing, msitake it. Ukiona mtoto wako, kijana wako mwenye anasoma campus for instance, acha niseme juko ndio kuna substance use mingi na alcohol, watu wanaharibikianga huko. Amekuja nyumbani na hajawahi kuambia vitu zingine uelewi, usinyamaze. Utamuombea yes, atukatai, lakini usinyamaze, mchukue aone psychiatrist, aone psychology, any near medical center yenye iko hapo, aone any health professional. Mwambie kijana wangu siku hizi anaongea maneno mingi sielewi. What might be the problem? Si ndio? Haya, tuingie depression. Depression ni nini? Depression ni ile situation yenye iko because of unsolved situations zenye ni negative. Situation of lacking money, si ndio? Situation of losing your loved one, situation of losing jobs. Situation nyingine ya kulose, nani anajua situation unaweza lose mpaka ufikirie hadi ukue depressed? Accidents, umepata accident, umesurvive and everybody kwa hiyo gari alikufa. Uko na trauma ndani yako, si ndio? Umeshindwa kuambia mtu. Sasa depression inajipresent in so many ways. Number one, this person anaweza overeat. Overeating. Unaanza kualarm. Mko kwa meza sapa, mmezoea kukula mchele sahani moja, lakini huyu kijana yako siku hizi anapiga sahani 2, amemaliza sahani 2, ndio ile kwa chapati, ndio ile amemaliza juice, anakuambia mami acha nimalizie mkate. Usione kama ni joke. Sawa? Overeating. Ama under-eat kabisa. Amezoea kukula kiwango fulani ya chakula, but sasa akuli hiyo chakula. Sawa? Oversleeping. Huyu mtu ni mtu amekuwa active. Amekuwa active, akiamka asubuhi anafanya house chores zote, ana mop, anasalimia familia, akimaliza kusalimia familia anaenda mtoni akifanya. Sasa siku hizi ana oversleep. Unashangaa mbona Amos siku hizi analala mpaka saa 4. Day 1, day 2, day 3. Ikifika 2 weeks kama akona hiyo behavior. 2 weeks, mnisikize vizuri. Usidiagnose mtu na siku 2 amelala sana, uanze kusema huyu ni kama ameanza kuwa na depression. Kuna kitu inaitwa fatigue, si ndio? Unaweza fanya kazi night shift ama nurses. I think there's a nurse. Ukifanya kazi night shift tuseme 2, hauna off ama umeshikilia best yako, si ndio? Unaweza kuwa na kitu inaitwa fatigue. So before udiagnose mtu ati kwa kijiji huyu mtoto ule akona depression, lazima kuna hizo symptoms zikue for 2 weeks. Zimejirepeat. Amekula sana for 2 weeks. Amelala sana for 2 weeks. Aya, ako suicidal. Ushaisikia ati kuna mtu huyu kijana amechukua kisu amejikatakata bure tu, si ndio? Ama incidents fulani ili happen, sitakangi kusema hiyo place. Mlisikia mama alitoa mtoto roho akakula. Sijui mlisikia kitu kama hiyo? Sio normal. Unapata ako suicidal, sio kupenda kwake. Amefikiria too much, ameaffect brain. Sasa ameanza kuwa suicidal. That person, ushaona mtu amejikata tu bure, amejidunga, wengine wamejidunga, mtu amechukua hata nyundo amejiumiza kwa mguu, anaumiza watoto, ako suicidal, ako na suicidal ideation. Mtu anakuambia leo nikitoka hapa nataka kazini wangu wote niwaweke kwa shimo, I will kill my mother, I will kill my sister, I will kill myself. Mtu mwenye anakata mandizi kwa shamba huko, amekasirika, amechukua ameanza kukata miwa zote kwa shamba. Mshaona kitu kama hiyo? Mtu amechukua glasses kwa nyumba zote, amepiganisha zote chini. Sio normal. Ni sawa? Alafu kitu kingine, hallucinations. Ukisikia tu ameanza kukwambia nasikia niko kwa ndege, niko JKIA. Sasa niko JKIA, nimebakisha tu kumaliziwa visa, niingie niende nikue ambassador. Is not huyo mtu kuna question mark. Si ndio? Haya, bipolar. Ni wangapi wanajua bipolar kwa mikono? Bipolar ni disorder, mental disorder yenye una fluctuate moods. Ushaisikia mtu anakuambia leo niko happy, after 2 minutes huyu jamaa tumecheka na yeye, mbona sasa amekasirika? Mshaona mtu kama huyo? Inaitwa bipolar. Iko na symptoms zingine, naweza sema zingine, acha niseme hapa. Kama mnajua rafiki, usimdiagnose unless ako nazo for more than 2 weeks. Usimdiagnose. Number 1, bipolar, unapata huyo mtu ana overspend. Mshaona mtu ana overspend? Mko mahali mumeenda kununua viti ya kanisa, ameona kiti ni 500, yeye anakuambia tutumie 1200 kwa kiti moja. Hayuko realistic. Ana overspend. Ana overspend to an extent yeye anajisahau. Mshaona mtu kama huyo? Ako too generous. Hatusemi kuwa generous ni mbaya. Mnisikiza, hatusemi kusaidia mtu ni mbaya. But that person helps people to an extent he or she forgets himself. Ako na nguo, amenunua nguo town huko kwa boutique, anapeana zote children's home, anajisahau. Umeona? Haya, huyo mtu kuna kitu inaitwa reckless driving. Sijui kama mshaona watu wengine wanaendesha tuseme pikipiki, unasema huyu mtu kwani ako na nia gani? Mshaona watu kama hao? Unapata unasema kijana wa Peter siku hizi kuna venye anapita amefungua kifua hapa, speed nyingine si normal. Ama kuna venye kijana anaendesha gari hapa yenye sidhani kama ni normal. For 2 weeks. Nimesema overspending, nimesema reckless driving, nimesema nimesema aya. Kuna ingine inaitwa huyo mtu anaanza kuwa na delusion, bipolar, ako na delusion. Unamuuliza mbona unacheka? Anacheka tu bure tu. Unamuuliza ni nini nakuchekesha? Ati juu ameona mkicheka. Ushaona mtu anacheka mahali watu wanacheka, pia yeye anacheka. Ushaona mtu kama huyo? Anacheka bure tu. Ukimuuliza mbona umekasirika, anakwambia Sibur na Amos wananiongea. Na ukichunguza hawamuongei. Ushaona mtu kama huyo? That person, ukiona ameanza kukuambia hivyo for 2-3 weeks, that person needs help. Kitu kingine anafanya, kuna kitu inaitwa erotomania. Very common. Erotomania ni wakati I feel that I'm in love with somebody. For example, hii kitu youths wanaweza ijua. Unapata jamaa fulani mwenye ongeangi class, maybe ni class ongeangi, but akishaongea na madam principal, anakuja kuambia principal ni mpenzi wangu. Principal tunapendana. Siku hizi huyu principal tumepanga kufanya harusi. Tafadhali msitake it normal, si ndio? Huyo mtu anaongelelea tu mapenzi from nowhere. Ako tu anasema huyu kijana tukiimba na msichana fulani hapa, mimi nikirudi kwako nitakwambia ule msichana ndio nitaoa. Huyo ndio tumeongea na yeye, huyo ndio mpenzi wangu. Inaitwa erotomania. Umenisikia? Grandiosity. Grandiosity ni kujigamba. Sijui kama mshaona watu kama hao. Amejigamba mpaka unasema huyu mtu hana kitu yote, hajajenga kitu, lakini anasema yeye ni MCA. How? Anajiita MCA aje? Huyu mama kwa chama anatuambia venye kwake ameweka ma CCTV, ameweka hizi macabros, kwake kuna wall na iko. Mshaona watu kama hao? Anajiinua. Inaitwa grandiosity. Aya, kuna nimeshasema persecutory. Akiona tu watu wako watatu wanaongea, anaanza kusema hawa watu wanataka kuniua. Mshasikia watu kama hao? Hawa watu wamepanga kuniua. Hiyo ni bipolar. Don't take it lightly like that. Religiosity. Huyo mtu ako too religious. Na ukiangalia vitu anahubiri na matendo yake haziendi hivi. Ziko hivi. Mshaona watu kama hao? I'm sorry, sitaki kumsema. There's somebody who ujiita Yesu. Somebody Jesus. Yesu, si ndio? Mkiona koti ilisema enda angalia psychiatrist, si ndio? Si kupenda kwake. Brain yake ilikuwa imemdanganya yeye ni Yesu. Akaamini yeye ni Yesu. So kila kitu anasema yeye ni Yesu. Hiyo ni bipolar. Tumongelelea depression, schizophrenia ya watu wanatembea hapa. Tumongelelea bipolar. Kuna neurodevelopmental disorders. Neurodevelopmental disorders ni hizi intellectual disorders. Mostly zina happen kwa mshaona watoto wadogo hawajui kuongea, si ndio? Mtoto mdogo anachukua kitu kama hii, hataki kujua anarusha side gani, asimami place moja. Ukimwambia mosika hapa, amesimama ndio hiyo ameenda. Akifika hapo anapiga wenzake. Mshaona kitu kama hiyo? Mostly na ukaa in children. Kuna inaitwa autism. Unajua autism? Wangapi wanajua autism? Kwa mikono nione hivi. Autism is a brain developmental disorder that affects a child in communication, socialization. Umeona? Hawezi ongea na mtu na hawezi socialize. Venye mmetulia hivi, unapata yeye ameamka kutoka hapa, ndio yule ameenda huko nyuma kupigana huko nyuma. Ukimwongelesha Amos sasa, hawezi kupea eye contact, anaweza kujibu kitu tofauti na hawezi ongea kitu unasikia. Neurodevelopmental disorders zina happen because maybe of genetics. Unaona? Genes, hizo tutaongelelea in terms of management. Genetics, maybe kwetu kuna hizo genes za autism. Kuna hizo teams za intellectual disorder. Kunaonanga watoto kwa kijiji, alafu wengine wanawacheka, wengine wanacheka wazazi wao ati huyu hawezi fanya hesabu ya 1 + 1. Si mnaonanga watu kama hiyo? That is a mental disorder. Si kupenda kwake. Inaitwa intellectual disorder. Hawezi fanya lakini sio kupenda kwake. Sijui kama mnanielewa. Ukimuuliza leo ni siku gani? Ajui. A normal person huwezi muuliza leo ni Saturday. Anajua time. Huyo time orientation yake, time, place, people ajui. Ukimuuliza hapa ni wapi? Kama saizi tuko Kayole, si ndio? Ukiniuliza nakwambia hapa tuko huko Mau. Ni saa ngapi? Anakuambia asubuhi 6 am. Na hawa ni kina nani? Anaweza kukuambia hawa hizi ni gari ziko hapa. Sio kupenda kwake. Msicheke wazazi kama hao na msicheke watoto kama hao. Walete wasaidiwe, si ndio? Hiyo inaitwa nimwambie inaitwa neurodevelopmental disorders. Autism spectrum disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Hiyo ndio nataka kuongelea because it's now becoming so common. ADHD ina affect watoto. So mzazi yote akona watoto kama hao, usikufe moyo, it's not the end of life. Huyo mtoto akona kitu inaitwa impulsivity. Impulsivity ni ile state yenye hataki kujua kama anaumia ama umii. Sijui kama mshaisikia story, mtoto alienda tu penye kuna kisima na akajirusha tu ndani. Si ndio? Mshaisikia kitu kama hiyo? Amechukua kisu, ana sense that hii ni kisu, yeye anaweza jikata hivi. Umeona? Sio normal. Nikiuliza huyu mtoto amekaa hapa kisu inafanya nini? Si anaweza niambia? Na mtoto kama huyo the same age, ukimuuliza mtoto ako na hiyo shida, ukimuuliza kisu inafanya nini? Akujibu anaweza kupiga nayo. Ajui kisu inafanya nini. Ako inattention. Ako na kitu inaitwa inattention. Unamuuliza hii, anajibu kitu tofauti, ama unamuuliza hayuko hapo. Ametoka hapo, amekuacha na maswali yako, ameenda kuchapana huko nje. Sijui kama mshaona watoto kama hao. We rule that thing in 2 setups. At school na home. Kama huyo mtoto nyumbani ukisikia mzazi anakuambia rafiki yangu, mtoto wangu hapa nyumbani siku hizi ni kama anapigana sana. Siku hizi nimeona tabia yake anisikizi, anaongea sana like, na shule pia the setup is the same. Huyo mtoto anafaa onekane na psychiatrist na ama psychologist ama counselor. Si mnajua counselors? Usinyamaze. Nimeongea disorder ngapi? Nani ataniambia ndio nije tulikuwa attentive? Nimeongea disorder 5 before niongeze zingine 3. Niamini sijika utaniambia. Nimeongea bipolar, si ndio? Nimeongelelea depression, nimeongea neurodevelopmental disorders, nimeongea schizophrenia. Si ndio? Neurodevelopmental ndio iko na autism na ndio iko na attention deficit. Ya mwisho yenye niongelelea alafu tutakuwa na an open nini ya questions and answers. Anxiety. Ni wangapi wanajua anxiety? Anxiety ni ile state there's a continuous worry. Bure tu. Unapata huyo mtu ako restless. Heart rate. Ushaisikia mtu anakuambia nasikia roho inanipiga sana. Roho inakimbia. Ukimuuliza mbona anakuambia ati sijui haki. Roho inakimbia. Hawezi kaa place moja. Anakaa nasikia kiti inamuwasha. Anaamka anaenda. Anxiety disorder. Na anxiety management yake ni psychotherapy ama medication. Hizo tukiongelelewa na pharmacist the type of medication. Sasa hiyo question answer session I think tuta cover up zote, si ndio? Kindly mniulize maswali hiyo time, mtuulize maswali zenye mnajua zingine alafu tuongezee because of time. Ni sawa? Yes.
Thank you very much, Amos. Bwana asifiwe. Aya. Kila mtu asimame. Stretch kidogo. Aya, kaa chini tafadhali. Yeah, sometimes the language can be more medical and you must struggle to understand because we want you to enjoy, Nataka ukitoka hapa, you become a different person. So at least he was talking about different types of mental problems. In short, the very small things that somebody is doing in the house can translate to mental health. So I'll give different approaches. We have nurses here, we have clinical officers here, we have pharmacists here. So they have different approaches on mental health. I'll give them time to talk about that. Now, before I give them time, I want to talk about the causes, because causes are very important. You must know. Unajua, a good number of us wamejua hiyo ni shetani, si ndio? Lakini as medics, we don't believe like that. Of course, we are religious, but we know, we study, and we know that there are causes of all those mental problems. Number one is gene. Kama grandfather yako alikuwa na issues za personality disorder, alikuwa na psychosis, alikuwa na BMD, alikuwa na anxiety disorder, alikuwa na autism, all those that I mentioned zote, if your grandmother or your grandfather or any of your relative alikuwa nazo, unaweza kuwa nazo. We believe inaenda mpaka 4th generation. So if you have BMD and umediagnosiwa, know that it can affect your child, your grandchild, mpaka the son or daughter of your grandchild, up to 4th generation. That is the scientific how it goes. Now, apart from gene, the causes of mental health can be child abuse. If you abuse your child seriously, you must treat your child with love in the house. Usimtusi kila wakati. If you punish properly, and you explain why you are punishing her or him. So if you cause a lot of trauma, the trauma you are causing now can be can cause mental problem akikuwa mkubwa. So that abuse. Apart from abuse, there's trauma. Trauma means inaweza kuwa ameona mambo mingi. Ameona vita, mtoto ameona akiwa mtoto amelelewa kwa vita. Wazazi wanapigana every time, akona trauma. Wazazi kama wanataka kusort mambo yao, hawafichi kwao, wanapigana mbele ya watoto. So they cause trauma to these children. So at long last, this one will affect them. So hata kama hakuzaliwa nayo, they can become, they may develop mental disorders. Poverty. At least, we should at least try to make our children comfortable. Because some of these things we are going through, especially those who lived in the rural areas, you know what poverty cost us. You didn't even have shoes, clothes. So these ones can affect somebody in the long run. So those ones are not good at all. Now, another thing is social is isolation and loneliness. Please try to be with people. No man is an island. Kaa na watu, hata kama mko kwa estate kubwa, identify some people that you can talk to. Uko kwa kazi, kuwa mtu wa watu. Because these people will help you to overcome these mental challenges, even if hata kama ulizaliwa nayo. So isolation is very dangerous for us. We must stay with the people and get help from them. Another issue is experiencing discrimination and stigma, including racism. Those people who go to Saudi Arabia, some of them came back with mental problems because they are being discriminated. wanatusiwa, they are being abused severally. Mpaka ukirudi hapa Kenya, akili imeenda. So those ones are, that one is another cause. I've talked of social disadvantage and poverty and debt. Please manage your debts. Deni. Usione kila kitu unataka kuchukua kwa deni. Unafuliza, TV umechukua kwa deni, hata bibi umechukua kwa deni. So please, let us minimize on debts. It can lead to mental problem. Bereavement. Bereavement is a major cause. Of course, we normally lose our loved ones. Tunaweza poteza wazazi, watoto, uncles, and even people who are very important to us, even workmates. By the way, sometimes your workmate is very close to you, that if they die, you become affected. So you must know how to deal with bereavement. Wakati mtu wako amekufa, you must know how to go about the stages of denial. The first one is denial. You must deny. Amekufa ukweli. It is normal. Usione kama unaenda kwa denial ni way ni unique. That one is normal. It's a normal way of going through grief. So the first stage is denial. Then anger. Anger follows. After getting denied, after denial, you become angry. So it's a stage. Then after anger, you bargain. You bargain. Huyu mtu kama angekufa ama kama Mungu amemrudisha, actually ningesema asante sana. You bargain. So that's the third stage after anger. Then after bargain, you go into depression. So when you are depressed because of losing a loved one, it is not bad. It is part of the stage of grieving. You get depressed. Utaki kuongea na watu, you just want to be alone, thinking about the mwenye ameenda. So after depression, then the last stage ni acceptance. And it's the best stage. You must work towards acceptance. And acceptance means you've healed. Umejua sasa, mtoto yangu, Mungu amemchukua na ameenda. So you start working towards other things. Hiyo umesahau na unaendelea. So we must make sure that if any one of us amepata, hata ukipoteza pesa, si ati ni mtu peke yake. These are the stages that, because it's a loss. Any loss, you must go through those stages. So once, if you are stagnated, ukikwama kwa bargaining, ama ukikwama kwa denial, it can lead to mental problem. Nikimaliza, another cause of mental illness is severe and long-term stress. Please, stresses are there every day, but let us work on those stresses very fast. See a way of maneuvering. Come on, school fees, share. Share within the family, wake a meeting, discuss you. So that you overcome that stress. So if the stress becomes long-term, it develops to a mental problem. And finally, having a long-term physical health condition. We normally have issues of diabetic, cancer, TB, HIV/AIDS. There are very many. So some of these things can lead to mental health. And that's why we must seek help through the hospital, ndio tusiende kwa mental health, because mental health is a big burden for all of us. We must deal with it as early as possible. So let me invite the professionals so that they can share what they do as professionals. Let me start with the lab technician. You see, even to a lab, they are very much involved with mental health. So mental health is a big team. We work as a team at Mathare. We work as a team in dealing with these mental health cases.
Happy Sabbath. Happy day. Thank you so much. Now, on the whole process of mental health, in terms of laboratory management or the information about laboratory, it's wide and at the same time it's so brief. One, in the laboratory, it's all about diagnosis. Yeah? Not everything is seen microscopically, like how you can tell this person is psychotic, si ndio? Umeona mtu hapa mtaani wanaita amechizi, si ndio? You can't, at times it's so easy to tell. So there are a number of tests that we do in the laboratory, and one test is called toxicology tests. How many people have heard of toxicology tests? Have you heard of addiction? What causes addiction? I want you to engage. What causes addiction? Anyone? Hamjui? I'm not loud enough. Have you ever heard of drug abuse? How does drug abuse causes addiction? I want to give you a chance. Hey, okay.
When you use it for quite a long time.
Awesome. Another person? Yes.
Happy Sabbath. So addiction comes in a way, your brain releases some chemicals called dopamine. So with time, it's a continuous process. So the dopamine makes you crave for something.
Beautiful. Another person?
Addiction is when you use something for a long time. So you can't do without it.
Good. I'll accept all the definitions, but now that was just to jog your mind. You keep on brainstorming. After this, we'll have a panel and would like to have those questions. So back to laboratory, it's all about tests. And there are so many tests. I won't be specific. There are over 10, 15, 20 tests. And now going into an ideal test one by one, giving introduction, that will take time. So a good example, just wanted to use the toxicology test. So many people abuse so many drugs, sindio? But now how would you tell this person abuses from the mental health thing? He's gone to a psychiatric. Then the psychiatric thinks that this person has been abusing marijuana. It's literally, it's just a perception, like you're not sure, sindio? Now you get to laboratory, you do the exact test, and from this test, it's the basis of diagnosis. You get to help this person from the precise thing, yeah? So it's fine. I won't talk much, but now I just want you to brainstorm. We want questions. This MRI, another good test for those who are undergoing mental illnesses. So, I mean, this much. We beseech you, we urge you to just become. When we love the panel, we'll get to discuss everything. So I'll call Dr. Getoi to brief us on the risks. Yeah?
Happy Sabbath. Happy day. Naona kuna mtu ako na swali pale, batieka hiyo swali yako tutaijibu. Mimi naanza kwa swali. Kuna mtu ambaye ifinywa vizuri na bottom up economy vizuri, kakufinya vizuri? Kuna yule amefinywa na bottom up economy vizuri? Do you know that kila mtu ako at risk of mental health problem or mental illness? Haya, umeaitembea kwa njia, unapata tu watu ni wengi na mtu anatembea ngakoa 1500, ukaenda ukagule sukari, ukafanya hii, ukakole elia, na bado umekuja kwa pesa nyingine. Kupata na mtu kama huyo? Those are people who are at risk of what? Mental health problem. Okay? You may think this person anaongea tu labda ni shida mingi yako nayo, but there is a problem that is building up into what? Mental illness. You know, the first place where people go before they go seeing a psychologist, a psychiatrist, wanapatana na daktari kwanza. Si ni kweli? Ya kwamba nimekuwa na shida, silali vizuri, usingizi umepotea, mama analeta shida kwa nyumba kwa wazee, ya kwamba huyu jamaa nimeanza kuona ni kama tabia yake ameanza kuenda kwingine. Si ni kweli? Ya kwamba ile maneno imefanya nini? Imepotea. Si ni kweli? Unapata mtu hawezi kukula. Unaona? Vitu kama hivi are some of the signs ya kukuambia huyu mtu anaweza kuwa akona nini? Akona shida. So sasa ni nini ambacho kinapelekea mtu kama huyu kukua na hizi risks? Kitu cha kwanza, kuna aims ama kuna goals ambazo mtu anataka kuachieve, lakini inakuwa ni nini? Ni shida. Kwa mfano, ulikuwa unataka upeleka mtoto medicine this year. Si ni kweli? Amepita na grade A na ako na 82 points. But umeambiwa na bottom up ya kwamba fee ni 600,000 per year. So na wewe ni nani? Ni hustler. Utapeleka huyo mtoto medicine ama utafanya nini? So mtoto anakuambia me am qualified for medicine, lakini wewe umesema nifanye nini? Niende teaching. Itawezekana? Shida zinaanzia wapi? So kuna goals ulikuwa unataka kuachieve, lakini imekuwa ni nini? Ni shida. Sawa? Kitu kingine, kuna age factor. Age, unapata kuna ile miaka mtu anafika na anaona kulingana na vile niko sistahili kukua hivi. So anaanza kukua na mawazo na anaingiwa na nini? Na stress ambayo inafika to the point ya kwamba sasa hawezi kufanya nini? Hawezi kuendelea, vitu zinasimama. Another risk is the environment where somebody works or lives. Unaweza kuwa unaishi mahali ambapo kila wakati ni kelele tu. Kelele iko. So hauna wakati wa kufanya nini? Wa kuweza kutulia. So inakudisturb katika akili na mawazo, inafanya nini? Inaendelea kukimbia kila siku, kila kuchao. So environment plays a role. Finances. Niliona mimi mwingine kwa social media, salary iko hapa nyuma na bills ziko wapi? Hapa mbele. So gunia ni kubwa na salary ni nini? Ni kidogo. So mahitaji ni mingi, pesa ni nini? Ama watu na pesa mingi wanashindwa wafanye nini? Wafanye na hiyo pesa nini? It can lead to some of mental health illnesses ambazo tumediscuss. So sasa unapopelekwa kwa hospitali, wakati mwingi kuna wale watu wakienda kwa hospitali wanaenda na issue ya kwamba mimi ni nini? Ni mgonjwa. Kwa sababu gani? Nimeumwa na kichwa kwa wiki mzima na kichwa ifanye nini? Haitulii. Ama nimekosa usingizi, ama nguvu za kiume zimepotea, vitu kama hivyo. Kisha ukifika pale daktari atakuketisha chini, akuongeleshe, akuulize historia, kumwambie kwetu tuko hivi, mimi niko na miaka fulani, ninakula hivi, mazoea yangu yamekuwa hivi. Ukishamaliza atakufanyia kitu tunaita physical examination. Kama unaumwa na kichwa sana, atachukua blood pressure, si ni kweli? Atachukua temperature, asikize kifua kama iko sawa na kila kitu, kisha atakutuma kwa lab. Wakati mwingi unapopimwa unapatikana ya kwamba all tests are normal. Anarudi tena anaanza kufikiria, huyu mtu, kwa wengine atakwambia wewe uko sawa, urudi nyumbani bwana, unatusumbua hapa. Lakini kwa hakika ya kwamba wewe ni nini? Wewe ni mgonjwa, ni vile ugonjwa wako haijafanya nini? Haijagundulika. Na that's why most of the mental health problems, they've not been taken so seriously. Ndipo unapata mtu anafanya nini? Anakufa out of depression. Ya kwamba ulienda katika hospitali zote ukapatikana hauna nini? Hauna ugonjwa. Ukarudi wapi? Nyumbani. Na finally ulilala, kesho yake tukasema ni nini? Yule ambaye alipatikana hana ugonjwa amefanya nini? Amefariki. Shida ni nini? Hakuwa na ugonjwa. But the problem was you had a mental what? Problem. Then finally ukishapelekwa ukiangaliwa ya kwamba hakuna test zozote zina turn positive, daktari tena atarudi, muongee moja baada ya nyingine, moja baada ya nyingine. Atagundua there is a problem ambayo wengi wameichukulia kwa urahisi, ambayo is a mental problem. Maybe you are suffering from stress or an other disorder ambayo inahitaji nini? Kushughulikiwa. Kisha sasa atakutuma katika psychiatrist, ama atakutuma kwa psychologist, ama kwa counselor, na pia ataweza kufanya kitu tunaita management of symptoms. Kwa mfano, unaumwa na kichwa sana, ili uweze kufika, atakutuma akiona ya kwamba shida yako tu ni kichwa na unahitaji counseling, atakutuma kwa pharmacist. Atakwambia nimekuandikia these medications ambazo ni painkillers. Kisha atakutuma kwa psychiatrist ambaye atakufanyia kitu ambayo another assessment, ama akiona unahitaji kuongeleshwa tu atakutuma uweze kuongeleshwa. Kwa hivyo mental health is a big problem ambayo tunahitaji kuishughulikia kila wakati. Kwa hivyo unapoona ya kwamba mtu anaanza kujiongelesha tu, ako kwa njia na ako sawa, amevaa suti, ametoka kwa nyumba na anajiongelesha tu, na unasimama tu na uliza, kwani na huyu vile anakaa mzuri hivi, shida yake ni nini? Ama na vile huyu ako na pesa mingi, ni nini namsumbua, anakaa tu anajikuna kichwa? Huyo mtu hayuko sawa, because mental illness kills. And most of the people are getting other medical problems kwa sababu ya nini? Ya mental illness. So ili tuweze kupeana nafasi kwa wengine, nitarudisha.
Asante sana. Umeona vile mental health is dealt with na watu wengi. Umeona mtu wa lab asema lazima tufanye test ya drugs, na pia kuna wenye wanashinda tu wanasema mimi naumwa, lakini ukipeleka kwa lab hakuna matokeo. So those ones are suffering from what we call somatoform disorder. It's a mental problem. Hakusema hiyo. Unasikia tu wewe ni mgonjwa, lakini ukipelekwa lab hakuna kitu. So he's a CEO. A CEO means a clinical officer. Huyu ni daktari wa ugonjwa mingi. So tunawatuma watu huko wachunguzwe. Wakipatikana hakuna dalili nini, hakuna ugonjwa yenye tuwanyeza deal naye, wanatuletea, tuna deal nao. Haya, wacha tusikie nurses, because nurses are also concerned with mental health. Kabla tuende kwa pharmacist. Haya, nurse.
Happy Sabbath. Happy day. How many are enjoying today's lessons? Nasema ukweli, si knowledge overload? Mko sure nikiwauliza chenye speaker wa kwanza alisema mnakumbuka hizo disorders? Hebu let me hear. Which disorder do you remember? If you just remember, let me see. Just raise your hand. Yes. Yeah, just name one. Bipolar. Aha, ilikuwa nini? Okay.
That's what I heard from him.
Nini ingine disorder aki aliongelea mingi. Hata mimi sikumbuki zingine. Ngani ingine yenye wewe unakumbuka? Yes. Anxiety. What is anxiety? Pardon? But I think we worry. How many worry if they will miss heaven? Okay. Any other? Kwani huyu ndiye alikuwa hii class? Ni wote mlikuwa mmeenda? Yes. Pardon? Placebo. Autism.
Autism.
Autism. What's autism?
Ni challenge ya kwamba kuna watoto wanazaliwa na wao hawawezi kujiongeleza ama kufanya chochote, pengine akona shida ya kuongea na some challenges. Lakini nilikuwa nataka nimuulize swali, kuna wale unaitwa imbeciles.
Imbecile ni mtu mjinga.
Yeah. Na wao shida yao ni gani?
Okay. Think amesikia Umesikia swali? Anyway, thank you. So I don't want to overload you with information, but I think something I can point out as a nurse is stigma. Mtu akikwambia for example akona mental health, what is the first thought that comes to mind? Mtu akikwambia ama ukisikia mtu akona mental health issue or condition, how do we treat those people as a society? Pardon? Fear, sindio? What other things? How do we react? Yes? Unadhani huyu amechizi, anafaa apelekwe madhari, si ndio? How else do we treat these people? Pardon? They are bewitched, Wamerogwa, si ndio? Anahitaji maombi ya pastor, Yeah. Any other thing we do? Okay, let me ask this. Wangapi hapa wangekuwa na mental health condition, umekuwa diagnosed, unaweza ambia hata rafiki yako. Waambie tu rafiki yako, unajua nilienda hosi. Unajua venye unaweza mzazi anakupigianga simu unamwambia niko na malaria. Wangapi wanaweza ambiana niko na mental health illness? How many can share? How many won't share? Be honest. We can't tell, right? Because the society has not been able to create an ample, and that is the stigma that we need to end. Lazima we create awareness. Na tumegundua leo ya kwamba ndio mtu akuwe na mental health condition, si lazima tu akuwe anarokota makaratasi. There are many things that can lead to a mental health illness. Na si lazima ukuwe madhare ndio ukuwe na mental health illness. Hata venye tumekaa hapa hivi, you can have some of these mental health conditions. Sawa. So the thing that we need to do is we need to be champions of creating awareness. Hatufai ku treat it's only us who can end this stigma. Sisi ndio tunafaa tujue mtu mwenye akona mental health conditions. Tumeonyeshwa causes, si ndio? Kwa hiyo causes tulisikia uchawi kweli? Tia merogo hakuna, si ndio? We have realized ni normal things, isn't it? Kama venye malaria inaletwa na what transmits malaria? Acha ni diverge kidogo. Mosquitoes, mko sure? Mosquito ni carrier. Si ndio? It's a vector. Inaitwa plasmodium. Anyway, that's another lesson. But the thing I'm saying is we are the people who need to end this stigma. And as a nurse, how we come in is these people have normal needs, just like you and me. I have worked I think there's a time I worked in Madhare, and I also worked in Machakos in the mental health unit. hawa watu hata hawatembele wangu. There are some ladies who have been left in that hospital. Miaka nenda, miaka rudi, they were dumped there. So first of all, I can even urge you as a church, youth department, AWM, you see the way you plan to visit children's homes. This is also another area where you can visit these people. They also have special needs. They also need soap. They also need toothpaste so that they can be able to conduct their normal day-to-day activities. Just because someone is suffering from mental health does not mean that they do not want love. They also need to be loved. So as a nurse, normally the theory that guides nurses, Florence Nightingale theory, we become to them what they are not able to be for themselves. Uliona some of the symbols when walikuwa wanasema ni they are dirty. So it's our responsibility to make sure that they are what? They are clean, isn't it? So you can create such a conducive environment for them so that they make sure they are what? Make sure that they are clean. You will realize that they need love. Ukienda pale Mathare, wanaume, hawa daktari watakwambia ukienda kwa ward ya females, watakukatia. Kwa sababu wako na mahitaji. It's not like these other processes, they naturally die. Just the same way you have your own personal needs, even them they do what? They also have their own personal needs. Sawa sawa. Just because someone has mental health condition, it doesn't mean katikati ya mwezi, the other processes will stop. Isn't it? That's why they have to be, if they are ladies, for example, you need to take for them pads, for example, so that they are taken care of them. You will realize what communities do, especially for ladies. Mwayona wasichana wenye kichwa imeruka wakishika mimba. Hiyo mimba inamea tu peke yake. Yeah, that's why sometimes I know that this is very debatable, especially when you're talking about family planning, but it is very important, especially if they're roaming in the community, they are taken through those things because they stand a high chance of easily being misused by men, isn't it? So they can be taken through this process. So the other thing is these people are normal people. Just because they have one area in their life which is not doing well, we do not need to treat them with stigma. Treat them as normal as you can. Sawa sawa. Talk to them. Have conversations with them. Unajua kuna venye sometimes you can treat someone ni kama ameruka. Yes, we know ameruka, but it doesn't mean that they are not normal. No one is born, okay, some of them can be born, but a lot of people are not born with some of these conditions. Some of the conditions we say that they are drug-induced, for example. So we find that it's our children. I was telling my friend, wakati mtoto anazaliwa, hakuna mwenye anakujanga na label imeandikwa mwizi, mwingine imeandikwa nitakuwa kichaa. Si wote wanakuanga too cute. It is eventually how they end up, isn't it? So we need to also treat these people the same. Let's show love, and especially now that we are Christians. Sometimes we are very quick to judge the Pharisees and the Sadducees the way, they used to keep lepers out of the city. But let me ask you as a church a question. Sahi mtu tu akikuja tu na dread. Let's say amekuja tu na dreadlock. Ni nini ingine anakujanga na? Let's say tu hata mtu amekuja tu na dreadlock peke yake akae hapa. How many are sure that person will return the next Sabbath here? Macho tu yenye tutapatia huyo mtu. Itamfukuza tu na hatafanya nini? Amjamuongelesha. Amekuja tu na dreadlocks. See, it's at the church of God where, so wanasemanga kanisa ni hospitali. Hapa ndio kuna kila mtu, si ndio? Na si wote ni wenye dhambi, ni venye tu dhambi zetu hazijafanya nini? Hazijajulikana, si ndio? Because yours has not been put in public, sometimes we tend to think we are holier, isn't it? But there is a way we can treat even those who are with mental health. Just like when Christ was even able to interact with lepers, Christ was able to interact with many people who are diseased, we can also create such a conducive environment that is welcoming to everyone who has a mental health condition. Remember, they have normal needs, just like you and I have normal needs. And it is our responsibility to end stigma. So next time ukisikia mtu ako na mental health condition, tell them it's okay. Hajarogwa. May God bless you.
Thank you very much. Keep your questions very well. We will handle them well. Mpaka utaridhika. So I know you have a lot of questions and concerns. We are almost coming to that. Let us give a pharmacist chance to say what they do to mental health people.
Happy Sabbath. Happy day. Lean forward, lean backward. Imagine I'm communicating. Lean forward, to the left, to the right, stand up. Wazazi. Okay, you see, you are not used to even exercise, huh? How many have reached 40 years? That 40 years plus, mnafanyanga exercise? Exercise? I don't think so. Exercise actually will help you to relieve some of the stress. So keep on doing them. Nina swali. Wangapi wameimeza mara moja? Mara moja. Mnakujanga tu mnasema I need mara moja, mnapewa, si ndio? That is good. Wangapi wameimeza Piriton? Umekosa usingizi unasema leo sikosi usingizi tena, naenda kununua nini? Wangapi wameimeza Piriton? Thank you. That is misuse of drugs, ndio nawaambia. Another one, Panadol Extra. Another misused, enye inakuwa mnakuja tu nipe Panadol Extra, unapewa. Wangapi wameimeza Panadol Extra? Na mko wengi. Last one. Wangapi wanatumia chai majani? Asante sana. Today you are very faithful. Sijui elder ningekuita uone ama niite pastor. Pastor sema funika macho sione. There are very many. I have, okay, back at home, we have some of the old people. Enye nakwambia, without mara moja mimi sitalala. Lazima uniende unilete ile mara moja. Ama unakuja unaambia nakuja nilete nini? Na usisahau ile mara moja yangu. In the system, actually, ameifanya ikakuwa yake. Same to wale wenye wanakunywa majani chai. Na majani chai, I always tell each and everyone, ndawa, dawa, ndawa. So, you take it until it is used to your system that you can't live without it. And that one, I see it daily. In the community pharmacy, we see them daily. In the evening, you'll find mtu ananunua mara moja, kila siku, kimuuliza mbona unameza mara moja? Kichwa itaniuma tu usiku, nitaamka tu na nimeze. Some of us keep drugs in the house. Unasema, acha tu niweke. Nikiumwa na kichwa nitafanya nini? Nitameza. Those are misuse of drugs. Some of us tunaumwa na chest. You know, we have some of the signs that I want to check you through. Some of the one sign that we have the pains, feeling ache. Unasikia mwili inauma tu. Mwili inauma, then you go to the pharmacist or any chemist. Unaomba dawa, unameza tu. You don't explain yourself, unameza tu dawa. We are coming to a point that we are going to reduce. Actually, the Pharmacy and Poisons Board are coming with an idea that hamtanunua dawa hivyo because we are misusing some of the drugs. Then the chest pains. Because umefanya kazi without break. From Monday to Monday we uko kazi without break. Sasa mwili inauma kwa sababu ya kuchoka, you go to the pharmacist. Nisaidie na ile diclofenac. Unachukua diclofenac and utameza. There are some of the drugs enye watu wanameza, kama mtu anaweza kuja na kwambia, mimi nasikia roho inapiga tu. Roho inapiga lakini wanameza nini? Paracetamol. Unachukua paracetamol, utameza. Unaona imetulia. Kuna wale wenye wanakuwa na stomach digestive system ina reduce kwa sababu ya mental health issues zikikuwa accumulated, even kudigest food kwa tumbo inakuwa shida, then you go to the pharmacist. Unaenda unanunua tu dawa, unameza. Please, we request you follow the procedure. Enda hospitali, uandikiwe dawa, ama uambiwe ufanye any test from our lab technicians. Kutoka hapo, uende, uandikiwe dawa ndio ukuje. There are drugs that are being used in mental health, like benzodiazepines. Ndio tuko na hizo za alprazolam. Most of you wanashangaa that kuna dawa zingine ukienda kununua, unaulizwa, do you have a prescription? One of them is betapin. Wangapi wameimeza betapin? Betapin. This betapin and there's a generic of it that we call tamepin. Ni simple sana. Ni ya 25-20 hivi. Unaingia kwa chemist, unaomba tu nisaidie na betapin. And that betapin, it is 25 bob. That betapin, it has codeine in it. Na wengine wanasema hapo hawajatumia hard drugs. It has codeine in it. When you take codeine for so long, it becomes addictive. Your system becomes used to it, and you can't survive without it. So kila siku unataka umeze nini? Betapin. Mara moja inakuwa being used kwa sababu of the caffeine in it. It has caffeine. So this caffeine, it is a stimulant. Your body cannot survive with its stimulant. So una ensure each and every day you take what? Mara moja. So there are those wenye wanaona hawalali. Dawa ya kulala, sitasema jina kwa sababu hata nyinyi mtaenda kununua, ni 2 bob. And you come to a chemist, unauliza, mimi nataka tu dawa ya kulala. Eti hapana, tupeani hivyo. Uko na prescription? Hapana. Wewe nipatie tu leo tu. Ni leo tu. Then unapewa. Ukipewa, utakaa tena, then utasema ile dawa inanisaidia, utaenda tena kuiomba. When you hiyo kwenda kuitumia, it becomes part and parcel of you. Kwa sababu utakuwa unataka uitumie kila saa. So, the mental part of you become deteriorated because unatumia dawa kila saa. Utaanza kukosa usingizi kwa sababu you believe, actually it is within you, ushakuwa umebelieve, I cannot sleep with it without amitriptyline. Sasa unakuja unasema, nipatie tu tena ile moja tena. Unaenda unameza tena unalala. Please let us stop misuse of drugs, and may God bless you.
Thank you very much. Umesikia kuna sio ati utumie bangi peke yake ndio kuwa addictive, hata dawa Panadol inakuwa addictive, So umesikia kwake. So pharmacists are very important people in terms of mental health, and kuna madawa kama olanzapine, amitriptyline, Valtas, there are very many based on your condition. So huko Mandare kuna big pharmacy ya madawa. So before I welcome them here for your questions, I want to take you through management. Unajua kuna watu wengi wajui shida za uakili zina tiba. They are being treated mpaka mtu abikuje akue sawa sawa. So I want to tell you, if somebody come to Mathare, the first step we do. Si mko tayari? Mko tayari ama nisiseme? So the first step when somebody comes to Mathare, what we do, tunampeleka kwa registrar. Registrar ni wale OPD kama Kenyatta. The first step ni kuenda kwa OPD, sio kuenda kwa ward direct. OPD ni outpatient, whereby anachunguzwa, wataangalia kama ni mtu wa kuonekana na kurudi nyumbani ama kupelekwa kwa ward. Of course kuna cases zenye kuja kama mtu amefungwa kama muizi, amesumbua watu mpaka watu hawakulala, amepiga watu, sasa amekuja kifungwa. Hata akikuja kama amefungwa atupeleki kwa ward direct because pengine amedanganyishiwa, ameletwa tu hivyo lakini hana issue za mental health. So tunapeleka OPD. OPD anaonekana na psychiatrist. Psychiatrist amekaa hapo, anamuuliza maswali. Kama ni mtu amelemewa, nurse pia ako hapo, anamsedate. For those people who are wako na nguvu mingi so wengine wanakuwa na nguvu mingi sana kabisa. Wanataka kukupiga mtu mmoja mwezi. So anasedatiwa, anatulizwa kisha tulia. Wenye amekuja nao relatives, mama, baba, ndugu, wanaulizwa maswali na wana sign papers. Kwa sababu uwezo wekwa kwa ward bila kufanywa namna gani? Kusign papers It is illegal for admission, involuntary admission So they must agree that huyu mtu tunaweka wapi? Kwa ward. Kama mtu ako suicidal, anataka kujinyonga, anataka kuua watu, that one you must be put on the ward. Hata kama hauko vibaya. So that one is mandatory and we put you there to safeguard the public and yourself. Those are cases that we must put you in ward. Now, ukishawekwa kwa ward, of course unapewa madawa. Pharmacist anakuja hapo ndani, unapewa madawa. Nurses of course kila siku wanaangalia, wanapewa, kuna madawa unapewa, unaulizwa kama umeoga, by the way wanaoga huko, wakishafika huko wanaoga. Wakishadungwa hiyo dawa wanakuwa sawa. Hawatupigi huko, they are not fighting us there. So huko tuko marafiki and they are not violent the way they are here outside here. So wakishafika huko, wakiwako kwa ward, wanaoga, wanakula vizuri. Alafu ndio sasa psychologist anakuja ndani. So psychologist kazi yake ni kudiagnose ni nini imeleta hii shida. Mpaka mbona leo sio jana ama kesho? Mbona hajakuwa hivi jana ama kesho? Why today? So psychologist anachukua hiyo case, anafanya history, anafanya diagnosis. Kuna tools, Kuna tools. Tools ni zile forms tunatumia kujua huyu mtu ako na schizophrenia, ako na bipolar, ako na anxiety, ako na mood disorder, MDD na zinginevyo. So we use those tools to know huyu mtu anasuffer from nini, because huwezi kaa huko na hujajulikana what you are suffering from. So hizo shida zote za mental ni the same. We must know which particular problem you suffer from. So that's the work of psychologist. Anafanya hiyo kazi. Alafu kama the patient has been abandoned, unajua kuna wenye wanapeleka watu huko alafu wanafanya namna gani? Wanawatupa huko, hawataka kurudia. So now the social worker comes, The social worker wanasaidiana na psychologist, wana repatriate, wanatafuta watu wao, wanaambia mtu wenyu sasa yako sawa, and we will be following up every season, huko mahali ya mnini, alafu anapelekwa kwa watu wao. So psychologist na social worker bado anafuatilia akishatoka madhari mpaka aone huyo mtu ako sawa, kwa sababu pengine environment mahali alitoka ndio umeleta hiyo shida. Ni mtu anapigwa, ni mtu anasumbuliwa, ni mtu ana hata vile ana survive. So psychologist na social worker wanafuatilia hiyo aone mtu afya yake iko mzuri. So that's the procedure we do in Mathare mpaka mtu apone. So I want to welcome the panel so that you can have your questions. Usiogope, uliza. Kama kuna referral cases, that one tutaweza ona hiyo baadaye after the panel. So please my people, kujeni hapa na hizo viti, tukue ready for maswali. Kila mtu abebe kiti yake, tujibu maswali. So you'll lead us in that issue of question taking,
Thank you so much, all. It's another time that I welcome you once again. I know when we started, a number of us were still outside. So we've covered a lot. Maybe just to run you through, he's told us about the meaning of mental health. Then that is Dr. Sibor. Then Amos has touched about the different types of mental disorders. Then Bosire has told us about the management as a nurse. Then I took you through just a little bit in a brief on the laboratory perspective of diagnosis. Then Madam Beatrice has taken us through the treatment. Now, I just want to make it a question-answer session, and everyone is free to contribute. So, ask questions. Whatever you can ask questions. We're ready to answer. Okay.
No, I want to answer. There's a person that was having a question of imbecile. Okay, I think Amos.
Yeah, so an imbecile is a kid, a person below 18 years. And that kid who can separate na autism, that kid cannot fully express himself completely. Ako very dormant compared to the autism. Ukitaka ku differentiate, autism ako a bit active. And he, at some point, kuna routine yenye autism anajua kufuata akiamka, hata kama ongei, anajua I should do this and this and this. But imbeciles, ajui anything, like akona intellectual disorder and developmental disorder completely, like hawezi kujiexpress. Sijui kama nimekuanza.
Kuna swali lingine. Kuna mahali kwa Bible ambapo ule mjamaa alikuwa kwa makaburi, alikuwa na demonic. Hiyo ni challenge pengine alikuwa nayo, sijui kama utasema aje.
I'm sorry, ningejibu swali, lakini kusema kweli mimi na Biblia sio kwa ubaya. I think church elder maybe anaweza nisaidia. Yeah.
Happy Sabbath. Sorry, swali ilikuwa ya kwamba demon possessed kama alikuwa nini? A mental disorder. We have to differentiate between being demon possessed and what? Mental health problem. You see, a mental health problem, it has a source and where and the symptoms that comes with that. But demon possession, when you go to for assessment, we are able to say this person answers all the questions well. When we are going for tests, all the tests are positive, are negative, and then we just want to do follow-up. What might be? And then now you get to understand there might be a problem. The person can tell you, for this and this and this, maybe for example, I used to be associated with this kind of group, or I visited this given place, or at home, there is a given, there are some things that usually happen. So then from there you are able to differentiate between demon possession and what? Mental health. Because mental health it has tests that are done. Some of them turn positive. And or there are signs that can be shown that shows that this is a mental health problem. And most of the time, when these people are treated who are demon possessed, they do not respond to medical treatments. So then at the end you are told, focus on what? Spiritual aspect. You see, then now you are able to know this one is what? A demon possession. And as well, sometimes there is a way they talk. And then now pastors will tell you, we need special prayers. And the person is delivered.
That can be a tough question because as we are scientists, and of course we are also Africans, but now dealing with mental problems is a multi-sectoral. In fact, it's biopsychosocial. Bio means now you deal with medicine. Psycho is psychology, also psychotherapy, and socio even encompasses religion and culture. So all those approaches are very important, and we should not leave religion when we are dealing with mental health, because it makes treatment becomes easy. So if you do it, you see the approach of religion, it can work, but please approach go to hospital, seek help, and also go for religion. So we don't deny that religion also works well in terms of mental health.
Happy Sabbath. Happy day.
Excuse a minute.
Hello, happy Sabbath. Allow me to interrupt. In the interest of time, we'll take like 5 hands or 5 questions. I think Beatrice and Felix help us to record them down. After we've taken like 5 questions, then the panelists will handle those questions before we get to the next set of questions. I think that way we'll be able to move faster.
And for the interest of time, I'll direct questions to one, and one panelist will tackle that so that we save on time. If we start answering all of us, we'll take like 10 minutes on the same question and we have 50. Yeah, so the session starts right now, and now we're ready for the question. Yes?
Happy Sabbath. Happy day. Swali langu ni kwa Beatrice. Cetirizine, Celestamine, Piriton. Unasikia uko na homa, unaenda chemistry, unabai hizo dawa, unakunywa. Hizo dawa ni za homa ama tunazimisuse. Another thing nimeona juu ya kumisuse dawa. There was a time ni mtoto wangu alikuwa analia anaumwa na masikio. Sikumpeleka hospitali, nilienda chemistry, nikamuelezea mtu wa chemistry, akanipea ear drop. Niliweka ear drop like wiki mzima, mtoto masikio haiponi. Baadaye kufuatilia matibabu ikapatikana ya kwamba mtoto hana shida ya masikio, shida ni tonsils. So tuangalie.
That's fine. Another question.
Happy Sabbath. Happy day. My question is in various parts. A friend of mine was diagnosed with a neurodevelopmental disorder, Nasim Toto. They were diagnosed when they were much, much older. So they were diagnosed and they were told this and this. It was ADHD. So after being diagnosed, they were given medication, methylphenidate and sertraline. So, so first of all, how do you help this person? Because these neurodevelopmental disorders, they come with other symptoms, like it can have a symptom of depression or anxiety. It can come with those symptoms, or you can get, it has similar symptoms to other mental illnesses. Like for example, depression and bipolar, have similar symptoms, especially when they're in the low maniac for bipolar. So how do you help them? That is the first thing. The second thing is on stigma. This person, they're in a family setup. The family was, unajua, when something comes up, for example, even when someone is diagnosed with cancer, first kuna kuanga bado na ile hatukubali ako na cancer, tujaribu medical missionary, is medicine like pharmaceuticals zinasaidia, and for how long, anafaa kuzitumia for how long, or if they use them for a very long time, will they also become dependent on them? And not only on pharmacopsychotics, there is also CBT and therapy. How long should they go for therapy? Na after all these things, atakuwa sawa. Then, when it relapses, what is supposed to happen? And now, for this, when you are diagnosed with the neurodevelopmental disorder, we know that yeye hafikiri kama wengine, they are a neurodivergent person, who is neurotypical. So how do you help this person who is not a neurotypical live in a community of other neurotypicals? Mmepata swali yangu, all those questions. Thank you.
Happy Sabbath. My question goes direct to Amos. When you were covering about today various disorders that affect some behaviors we see in the society that we do not detect them to be normal. But my concern, there is somewhere you didn't touch where, and I want you to touch it and classify it under which it falls. There is a situation whereby you get a person who ever dreams somewhere, you hear somebody dreams is being chased by a snake, somebody is grabbing a neck, somebody is chasing him or her with some machete or another object that may destroy or kill him or her. In which category do we see, or can we assume this one to be normal case, or there is a part of what we call a disorder in a way, or a kind of depression, the way we say that as before? Another thing, generally, I will ask concerning, because whatever that you have explained here is about the way, like now, this one will go straight to the pharmacist. You have gone to the hospital, you are diagnosed with a problem, and the doctor has indicated the particular medication that you are going to purchase from the pharmacy. Going to the pharmacy, because most of us I can account ourselves as laymen. We do not understand which is generic and which is the original medicine. Now, how can we be able to recognize which is which? Because when you go to the pharmacist will give you what's available in accordance to your finance or your funds that are can able to accommodate it. So can this be a trend, or there is a solution over it? Because we are dealing with the people who are in a sense of having life in this earth and heaven to come.
Thank you. We'll take two more. Let us try to be a bit brief.
Thank you. We'll take two more, and one is here. Mine is the first of the last. Now, thank you for bringing a very important topic about our mental disorders. I just want to ask you one question, that there's this night runners. Is it a mental disorder? And if it is, what makes them see at night? And is there a remedy for that disorder?
Thank you. I think our specialist will answer that. Any last hand? Oh, sorry.
Yes, happy Sabbath. So my question is, kuna watu wenye wako na habit ya maybe talking to themselves once in a while. So can that lead to mental illness? And how can, kama inaweza lead to mental illness, what can you do to prevent isifike kwa hiyo stage?
Let's repeat your question.
Yeah, nilikuwa nauliza kuna watu wako na habit ya maybe kujiongelesha, talking to themselves. So can that lead to mental illness? And kama inaweza lead to mental illness, what can you do to prevent it?
Okay, it's fine. We have a set of questions. We have number one. I'll direct it to Madam Beatrice about the cetirizine, celestamine, and piriton, if they help in cold. Then from the same person, we have eardrop as a treatment of ear problems. Can it work out, or why didn't it work out?
Happy Sabbath, happy day. Cetirizine, celestamine, piriton, all of them are in one class of antihistamine. So all of them are for flu, allergies. But right now, we misuse them. I'll agree we misuse them. Because you find yourself that a slight thing like flu, umekimbia kwa chemist, nipatie cetirizine, nipatie celestamine, nipatie piriton. But mostly, I'll admit, piriton we misuse it, especially when you wanakosa kulala. They misuse it. Celestamine, cetirizine, they're being misused in treatment of flu. Unapata, unasikia tu oma kidogo, nipatie celestamine nizuie. And that's what actually, that one is a misuse. For the drop, I'll say this. Ear ache, we have what we call ENT, ear, nose, throat. Once you have an infection kwa throat, you will feel it from your nose, from your ear, coming to your throat. This kid was having tonsillitis, and you find that alipewa eardrop. Eardrop was only working around the ear only. I wish the person who was dispensing the eardrop could have added an antibiotic. I don't know why akuongeza. It was supposed to be added. That's why when you went further, it was found it was a tonsillitis. So, this person, that one for me, I'll say there was I'll ignore. The treatment was not complete. It was not complete. You should treat, because for the ear to ache, there must be an infection, because it is an ENT problem. So you have to treat the throat too, giving an antibiotic. Yeah, so that's why actually giving one, an eardrop could not respond. Are you answered? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Madam Beatrice. Yeah?
Happy Sabbath. Please let's avoid over-the-counter drugs unless you have the proper diagnosis. If you want to destroy your immunity, continue using over-the-counter drugs. You'll get to ICU on your immunity. So simple remedies for flu, you can make cough syrup so simple. Take honey, red onion. Two big red onions, cut them to very small pieces. Take around 500 grams of honey, mix it, funika, leave it for 24 hours, juja, then weka kwa container safi. Give to anybody who is coughing. It relieves, it's a natural cough syrup. Ear infections, simple things that God has given us. The onion, when you have an ear infection, you hear like masikio inauma, take the red onion, put it in boiled water, and then after it has boiled, put it down, rusha ile kitunguu, the red onion, leave it for a few minutes, then you remove it, cut it into half, fungilia hapo, usifunge ikiwa inachoma, funga hapo na kitambaa mzuri for around 2 hours, ile kuuma itaisha. And then simple remedies for flu. Flu can live, homa inaweza kuisha peke yake kwa sababu it's viral, and anything viral inaweza kuisha. Tusikimbilie madawa. Flu, you can steam. Unatumia kitunguu, the red onion, cut it into small pieces, iekele in a service, jifunike, nusa ile kitunguu. Within a very short period, the sore throat is gone. And another thing, because the viruses are within your throat, what can you do? Take a kitambaa in cold water, dip it inside, then squeeze it, remove all the water, tie it around the neck. Tunaelewana ama naenda mbio sana? Tie it around what? Chukua kitambaa safi ambayo ni dry, fungilia juu yake. What are you doing? You are making the soldiers in the what? In the body to come and see what is happening around the what? The neck. They'll work on the bacteria, they'll work on the viruses. Within 3 hours, you'll be fine. Simple things that God has provided that we. So simalizi pharmacist biashara. Santi.
Thank you so much for the therapy. Now we had a second question, and it was all about neurodevelopment disorder. One thing was about the use of drug, methylphenidate, then how to help when such thing occurs, like anxiety, depression, and bipolar. That was one. Then the second thing was the intervention as a result of stigma. How long on management or use of drugs? I think if I do just a nutshell of what she does. Dr. Sibor, I think this was specialization. I do a repeat. Okay, it's fine. The question was...
One by one, eh?
The question is all about neurodevelopment disorder, and one is the use of drug called methylphenidate. Then the precise question on that was how to help when there are such things like anxiety, depression, and bipolar disorder. Then the second one under that is stigma. How long on management or on the use of drugs?
Okay, thank you very much. In terms of ADHD, the neurodevelopment disorder mostly are detected in childhood, but according to her, the patient was diagnosed when the patient was an adult. Of course, all of us were young, but we now become adults. So it means the diagnosis was not done early, and it was done at later stage. It's still okay. We have cases that are mild and severe. It was mild, that's why it was not identified early, and then it was identified late. There's some mental cases of neurodevelopment that are not severe, and you can work with them. In terms of comorbid, comorbid means we have very many problems under one. If I I can elaborate what you said. You asked, one can be having ADHD, bipolar, and very many things. So once they are brought there in Mathare, we pick on the severe case we deal with first. For example, if it is bipolar, we work on bipolar, then we go to another one that is making the disease to become severe. For example, ADHD. By all those mental issues that we have, they have drugs. We have drugs for ADHD, we have drugs for the bipolar, anxiety. Even we have those ones for sleep, like the Piriton and the related. So we only give drugs when it's severe, and any other intervention, any other management cannot work. In terms of stigma, we need to fight stigma because nobody wants to be sick. Mental illness is like any other disease, and we don't invite it. It comes naturally, so we should not put stigma on mental health. When one of us has an issue, let us help the person, let us give the support, tumpeleke hospitali, atibiwe, na kirudi tumsupport, because nobody wants to be sick.
Okay, just to add on that, still the same question. I didn't want to put everything at once. Treatment you've covered, but now on the convalescence, like when the patient is recovering, what is to be done? That was the question.
Oh, when the patient is recovering, we need the support. The support means the immediate family members must appreciate and must support the patient, because the biopsychosocial model, there is that social aspect, which is the family. It's very important in recovery. Hata malaria, ukiwa na malaria, that support is very much important. Lazima mtu akuendee dawa, akutengenezee uji, akuambie utapona. Hizo zote ni social support. So every disease needs social support, and like that one, it's very important.
Nita Wiatpa. No, she's not in consensus.
My question was, when the patient has recovered and they have relapsed, what happens?
Oh, you are talking about relapse.
And then how often daktari ndo ajue amefanya kazi ni adiagnose, ape drugs, and then follow up ni mgonjwa amepona, si ndio? Ikirelapse, and I know for some of these mental illnesses, they don't have ati utapona, it's just management. It is management. So how do you help the patient manage? And as I asked, huyu patient akona ADHD is not a neurotypical. Hata akipewa medication, hata kuwa, I don't want to say normal, it's a normal person, they are just neurodivergent. Medics hapo simnanielewa, they are neurodivergent, they are not neurotypicals. How do you help this neurodivergent person live in a neurotypical community? Yes.
Okay, let me start with a neurodevelopment case. I think the patient need to be analyzed, to be checked well. Maybe there are some conditions that are coming up that were not diagnosed. So if advise them to come there at Mathare for more checkup. In terms of relapse, relapse means mtu ametibiwa na akagonjeka tena. That is the ordinary language of relapse. Now, relapse is common, and the causes of relapse is probably the person is not using a drug, or the environment at home is not favorable. So what we do to avoid relapse at Mathare, we have clinics. Once you are discharged, we recommend clinics every month. You come for drugs, you come for psychotherapy, you come for review. So from there, we will know what might cause relapse, or we can prevent that relapse. So that's how we manage the relapse.
I think we're okay. Then the next question was about the disorders. It was from somewhere at the back. And I'll direct this to Amos. Now, in brief, it was all about how to truncate the types of mental health disorders. That was one. Then the second part of that question, the treatment and prescription, I'll give that to Madam Beatrice. How do you differentiate between generic and synthetic drugs? Yeah, sure.
I think that guy asked me about delusions and hallucinations. How do you know this is an hallucination and this is a delusion? During the day, whatever activity you're doing during the day as a human being, the brain records without you knowing. Sijui kama, I think medics mnajua hivyo. A brain in a record without you knowing. Now, whatever thing you're thinking during the day, as you're sleeping, inaingia kwa subconscious mind. Now, you will dream exactly what you were thinking about during the day. So, my answer to that guy is like, that guy akikwambia aliota anapigwa slaps, it is a persecutory delusion that yenye ilikuwa kwa subconscious mind yake. During the day alikuwa amefikiria mimi nachapwa without you saying. I think nimeku answer that one. Yeah.
Maybe I can add, we can put it under nightmare. Nightmare is a consistent bad dreams. Yeah, it's a mental problem, but we can't judge all of them under mental because it must happen for 2 weeks or more than 2 weeks. Ukiota leo na ukae after 1 year ndio uote hivyo, it's not a problem because of course we normally dream. But when it is consistent, bad dreams, it's called a nightmare, and those are signs of mental illness. You must come there and usaidiwe.
Still, actually, for you to have hallucination and delusion, inalingana na vitu zenye unasoma, what you see, what you think the whole day. So when it reach at night, actually you will dream of, because they are taken back into the subconscious. So when you're sleeping, actually they comes back. So it's when now you start thinking maybe somebody's chasing you with a machete because of the movie that you watch within the day. So it will affect you still. Yes.
Yeah, but hallucination is something somebody tells you, you cannot see, only that person sees. For example, that person tells you, somebody's telling me we go for a nature walk. You can't hear that voice, only that person who is mentally ill and is scared. I think you get the difference, right?
Okay, part of the generic and the branded. Okay, the originals, what you people call originals, they're the first drugs to be in the market. Then we have the generic, the one that you call the fake one. I was given a fake one, Beatrice, what do I do? It is not fake. We call it the generic. It's actually made from the one that was there. A good example is Augmentin, that was in the market first. Then when you are actually prescribed for Augmentin, and you find you go to any chemist, they give you Bactoclav, they give you Winclav, there are several. They are from the one which is original. They are not fake, but they treat. It's only now the active ingredient is reduced. The active ingredient in Augmentin, you cannot compare with Bactoclav, you cannot compare it with Winclav. It's different. So actually ensure when you are written for, if you are written for augmentin 625 or augmentin 1 gram, go for it. And if you know always you are written for a drug and it is being changed, tell the doctor to stamp. They have a stamp which we call, it is written, do not substitute. I love one doctor, Dr. Wanjala. He knows very well, he'll write for you the drug and you live with the prescription. He'll take this stamp, do not substitute. So when it reaches me, I know I'm not supposed to substitute. But you'll get somebody, maybe in another chemist, they'll substitute and give you without telling you. Actually, without telling you, if you find a good person, will tell you, I'm substituting with this. Sina hii lakini nakupatia hii. Mwambie niliandikiwa hiyo ndio nataka. Insist kitu enye umeandikiwa ndio uchukue. I hope I've answered you.
It's fine. Now, for the interest of time, we've got 2 more questions. We'd love to take as many questions as possible. So the last 2 questions, just take some minutes or just few minutes. Yeah. I'll direct this to Gitui Daktari, and I thought it's more of spirit than science. About the night runners, is it a risk factor? Okay, how you put it, is it as a result of mental disorder, or I don't know, it's quite complicated. And now what's the remedy?
Okay, let me handle that. Happy Sabbath. Happy Sabbath. Happy day. Yeah, that was a very interesting question in terms of our society and culture. Of course, we all know night runners, and we have interest there because we don't understand how they operate. How I want to answer this way. Yeah? First of all, there are some things we still don't understand. They are called metaphysics. Science is still exploring. It was our culture, but now the science is still undergoing some research and exploring. So they are still called metaphysics. Now, medically, it's a disorder because it falls under persecutory disorder. These are people who want to persecute you. Yes. Actually, there are people who they don't night run, but they just want to injure you, then they laugh, even in schools, primary schools, secondary schools. Those people are very common. Wanakufanyia kitu, alafu wanacheka, alafu wanahide. It is as simple as that. Persecutory disorder, it's a disorder that is real, and many people are having it. And the night runners, they feel good when you cry, or they feel good when you are scared. That is what they enjoy. So it's under a disorder called persecutory disorder. When you come to Mathare, we can give you a psychotherapy na iishe.
Yeah, also, I think it will be okay if we agree, if there is a God, then there is a devil. Like those people exist. We can't live in denial. And the devil, when he was thrown to this earth, we Adventist guys, he was thrown with his power. So we can't dismiss. We all read in the Bible of how when Moses was doing his miracles, the magicians were also able to do those miracles. So it is true that the devil has his powers, and some of these people use the power of the devil to execute some of the things that they are able to execute. So we can't live in denial and put big terms around this. The truth is, if God really exists, the devil truly also exists, and he also has power. So it's upon us to also pray with these people and ensure that they live a Christian life. But we can't deny the fact that the devil exists, and just the same way God can work in us as human beings, the devil can also work in you if you give him the chance to work in you.
Okay, the last question, I'll give it to Dr. Gitue. Now, those who talking to themselves over and over again, the monologue, is it a risk factor to mental health? I don't know if it can fall under personality. You can expound on that.
Thank you. It's a risk factor for one to speak. it means there is something inside that is troubling the same person, because they will express what is inside without realizing what are the other factors surrounding outside. So, and they'll tell you, you'll find somebody say, nataka nikifika tu ni mgonge panga. Na actually ikifika, huenda atachukua panga na afanye nini? So he's trying to express what is inside, but without realizing there are other people what? Around. And you may greet that person, he or she may not realize that somebody did what? Greeted him or her. So it's a risk factor into mental what? Illness. So when somebody repeatedly talks to himself or to herself to an extent whereby he cannot even realize what is around him or her, it's a risk factor and it needs to be taken seriously.
Just to add, a disorder is only a disorder when it interferes with your operation, affecting your life with others or your work. If talking to yourself is not affecting you or another person or your work, then it doesn't qualify to be a disorder.
Fine, that's so direct. We're done with the first batch of questions. Second batch of questions, like 5. And be brief, we really have little time to cover. Okay, last question, if I would say.
Happy Sabbath. I want to differentiate between psychiatrists and counselors, and how do the two work together, and at what point like a counselor chips in.
As you answer that, difference between a psychologist and a psychiatrist as well.
Happy Sabbath. My question goes to Sister Beatrice and Alex. It comes a scenario whereby I've witnessed cases whereby when mothers give birth to children, you find there are things which grows in their nose. You call them sinuses. So then you find some medics, they try to give them proper N as nose drop. So as maybe now what is your take on this to help? Because you find the mothers are trying over this, but it is not working out. You find the child is still having the same problem. So what's the advice on this?
Happy Sabbath. I find that in most of the diseases are caused by us, and we must bear the consequences when it comes to treatment. I read somewhere that it's because of the appetite that most of people go for drugs, and the drugs never cure. They only assist you to go to a given state, but or change the status. If the problem was on the stomach of this right side, it goes to the left side, but drugs to never cure. So the issue of running to chemists to go for treatment, I have a statement that says that the youth educate away from drugs. And it says, use less and less, and depend more upon hygienic agencies, the nature will respond to God's physicians. I also saw somewhere that why God wants us to center on nature is that most of the people, they give glory to doctors instead of giving glory to who? Happy Sabbath. Yani tunaogopa daktari kuliko vile tunamwogopa Mungu. Kweli? Ni kweli? Daktari akikwambia usikunywe sukari, utakunywa? Happy Sabbath. Na ikisemekana uambiwe hapa watu wa Mungu tuachane na sukari, utaachana na sukari? Kwa hivyo unaogopa daktari kuliko wapi? Hospitali. Madawa mengi ndio ya, in fact 90% hii madawa ambayo tunanunua kwa chemist na hata madaktari mingi ndio imeua watu. Mtu hata alikuwa na ugonjwa wa kupona, lakini kwa sababu ameingia katika, in the olden days ilikuwa na kitu kinaitwa aspirin. Yani unasema bila aspirin silali. What is the side effect of aspirin? Daktari, mbaya na inaduru mambo ya mwili. It interferes with the blood system. How we request, one of you amejaribu kuongea that we request we go on a natural way, herbal remedies, ambayo unapata mtu anaumwa na tumbo, kumbe alikula jana sana mpaka akaover eat. Sasa akiamuka asubuhi anasikia nini? Ndoto mbaya ama anasikia kichwa kinamuuma. Huyo mtu angekunywa hata maji, ni kweli, glasi 2, 3 ili kichwa ifanye nini? Lakini instead ya kufanya hivyo, nini anafanya? Anakimbia kwa chemist, anasema nipatie hii na hii. Labda angepata makaa, aweke tu kijiko moja, akoroge, akunywe glasi moja, hiyo nini ifanye nini? Ishe. But the problems, tumeishi katika hali ya madawa, na hii ndio imeua most of the people. Na chemists they are making a lot of money. Hebu tembea town, kwa hii chemist inaitwa nani? Transchem. Yani ngoja kidogo mtumishi, wamejaa kama mjanga wa bahari. Wenyewe they are making a lot of money. Unaona watu wako na makaratasi kama wanaenda kuandikwa kazi, kumbe prescriptions, anaambiwa this is 20,000, akatai. Niambia alete saka na sadaka kwa kanisa, alete, lakini kwa nini?
Thank you so much. Asante.
Let's pick the
last one, maybe.
Happy Sabbath, church. Happy day. So here comes my question. Is sleeping paralysis a mental health problem? You find that you are in the middle of your sleep, in the middle of a night. You can't move your leg, your hand. You feel something is holding you, pulling you. You even start screaming. So is that normal, and how can it be treated?
Thank you so much. The last question. In the last response from the panelists, I became confused kiasi. When the question was, is talking to self a disorder? But now my question is, do we have self-driven techniques or lifestyle changes that can help me myself as a person who is affected to identify the disorders and even have the remedies without other people identifying before I identify the problem? Thank you.
The last one, huh? Or second last? Okay.
That should be the last one because of time.
Okay.
We may not be able to handle all of them. Please, the last one.
So my first question goes this way. I'm seeking for clarity if it's true or not, all right? So whoever that question will fall to, just feel free to answer. So the question goes this way. Is a moral decadence issue, a moral decadence, like, actually you make plain basi. A moral decadence, it could be like masturbation, all right? Can that lead to a mental disorder? And then the other question, more or less, is closely related to the one which the Muse has raised. Huh? Now, other than maybe heavily relying on pharmacy, all right? Because there's one habit that cuts across the pharmaceutical world, is that hardly will you be prescribed with only one drug. It will always come in pairs, and there's a reason to that. Now,
other than maybe relying on these pharmaceutical prescriptions, is there a way that we can also naturally restore mental health of a person other than using this? Because I noted something when we were still on our introductory stage, is that there are some drugs which can also be, integrated with some other ingredients which can, again, make a person relapse again to some addiction. Now, that be as it is there a way maybe we can, that we do not use this pharmacy, but we rely on nature? Because, again, let us also bear in mind that we are Adventists as much as we are discussing health, all right? We have a health message. And health message advocates that we need to restore health by giving the body the conditions that it needs to restore itself. Health, right? So I hope my question is understood. Now, let me extend this. Sorry, maybe. Okay. Let me save that for some other time.
Time, please.
My last question was.
Please. You had contributed. We have to moderate. That's why we're here.
Sure. We're really sorry we couldn't take all your questions, but now we can just answer the ones we have. Then we'll have health talk next time. I don't know when, but we'll have another one. So feel free to join us in our social media platforms. We have Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at SD Mwangaza. You can always forward your questions. You'll be answered, yeah? So the first question, the difference between psychiatrist, counselor, and a psychologist. Yes, Dr. Sibor.
Okay, it is very simple. Counselor is a basic entry for counseling. Mostly it is a diploma, and they are called counselors. Now, when you go to another level, there's what we call psychology. Psychologists are very many. But we have counseling psychologists and clinical psychologists. Those are a higher level of counselors who diagnose and manage mental health problems. You see, a counselor may not be working in Madare because they may be working in a school, maybe conduct, or they may be mediators within the family setup. But a psychologist, especially counseling psychologists or clinical psychologists, they work in mental health places to deal with mental problems. Now, the difference between psychologist and psychiatrist. Psychiatrist is a medical doctor who only prescribe drugs. Ukitaka dawa, olanzapine, Voltaren, and those drugs, the first person you see is psychiatrist. But now, when you go to Madare or you go to medical setup, you are treated with a group of people. That's why we have a panel here. We have a psychiatrist who will give you a particular drug, the nurse who will ensure that umetumia, psychologist who will diagnose ni shida gani uko nayo in terms of the type of mental disorders he was trying to put. There are several. So, and then follow up. Psychologist does the follow up plus the social worker. Wanafanya the follow up. So, psychologist anafanya kuanzia hospitali mpaka kwa home setup. Anaona welfare ya mgonjwa. But psychiatrist akisha kupatia dawa hivi amemalizana na wewe. So that is psychologist, psychiatrist, na counselor. Counselor is the basic entry point where you deal with simple cases of misconduct, truancy, and related cases. Hizo za mtaa.
It's fine. Thank you so much. Now we have another question about the sinuses, and I'll give Dr. Getui the sinuses and solutions.
Thank you. Sinuses, it's the inflammation of the areas around the nostril area where air goes in and out. And mostly it's because of allergens and colds that trigger the inflammations. And then most of the time they can be acute, it can be within a short period or a prolonged period. Most of the time they are relieved by their own. They go by their own. But sometimes they can prolong up to three weeks. Now, what do you need to do? Avoid the allergens. If it's cold, try to avoid the cold. And if it is the issues of diet, you have to look at the diet. What is triggering that? You have to eat healthy. And then other things, you can be, if it goes to a chronic stage, go see a doctor who can prescribe medications for you. But there are other things that you can do, like steaming, steam inhalation. There are several things that you can use when you are steaming. The simplest thing that you can use ni kaluma. Ni wangapi tunajua kaluma? Tunajua kaluma? Take hot water, chukua kaluma, changanya. And then, jifunike nayo, you steam. When you steam, it opens up. So it assists you in relieving the congestion. Sometimes it comes to congestions, with fevers, with coughs, all those things. So when it is beyond, go see a daktari who can assist you. Maybe kama kuna kitu.
Okay, sinuses, you are saying that from birth. Sinuses, actually, from neonate up to 5 years, huwa inawasumbua. But now, from ikipita 5 years, then we always prefer wafanyiwe surgery. But always to neonate, wenye wamezaliwa, mpaka 5 years, it will just disappear. Yes, so that's why the doctor who is giving the Probeta-N, it's just to manage it, the inflammations and the allergens. Because Probeta-N has neomycin, which is an antibiotic, and beclomethasone. Beclomethasone is the antihistamine in that Probeta-N. So he is prescribing actually to manage the inflammation of the sinuses.
Because the neonates, their immunity is still developing, before you go for medications, simple remedies. Tunajua kitunguu, the red onion. Enda chukua ile red onion, ukisikia ameanza kufungana, katakata kidogo, unaona penye amelala, weka hapo kando. Akipumua, it opens up. These are simple things that we can use and they can assist us. Before you go for medications, try the simple remedies. When you see it's not working, go for medications. But ensure you seek the right diagnosis. Thank you.
Okay, next question was all about treatment. And one issue that is popping out is over-the-counter drugs. Then, is drug important? Then, within that question, there was God doctor respect, and at the same time, the effect of NSAIDs, steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So I don't know who will tackle these.
Over-the-counter drugs, mostly I would prefer you don't go for NSAIDs. NSAIDs are the painkillers. That's why I was saying, just getting into a chemist and you're saying, nipatie, that's self-prescription. Actually, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to start from the doctor, then you are prescribed for. Because some of them, you find yourself that those actually were used to drugs, that the doctor will prescribe what we call a placebo. A placebo is just umependa dawa sana, daktari hajaandika dawa, So anamwandikia the pharmacist who is in that chemist to give a drug that has no active ingredient, kwa sababu amekuona mara mingi, so anakuandikia a placebo. So akiandika placebo, it is just to give you, furthermore it is a carbohydrates. It's just a carbohydrates you're being given, a placebo. It has no active ingredient. So going into a chemist and getting a painkiller without prescription, that is wrong. Secondly, treatment, it's good. I don't know why my friend was saying it's out of order. It's good. Because it's the same God that gave us the mind and the power to learn. Because all drugs are extracted, if not animals, it is plants. They are extracted from, if not animals, it is plants. So getting the treatment, for me, I'll say it's good. Maybe if you have a question, you'll come, we talk, but getting treatment, it's good.
Just to add on that, about the importance of drugs. Drugs are very important. When you get to a doctor to diagnose your problem and give you a treatment, the main problem that our people face, or doctors face, is that the clients are not truthful. Wewe unakuja, unaumwa na kitu precise, you don't want to say the precise thing for treatment. Rather, unakuja unabeba daktari like, ni hivi. You don't want to tell the exact thing. So, from the knowledge of the doctor, from what you said, he or she prescribes something, and at long last, maybe you've used the same drug for a long time. It's developed resistance. Or now that you don't give out the same, okay, the exact issue that is affecting you, you prescribe a different drug, the issue still persists. So it's good to be loyal. Drug helps. Then about the God-doctor respect, let Bosire answer that.
Yeah, just to add on what my brother has said, I think I kind of get your question. Especially, we are Adventists and we have medical missionaries, and the issue of drug is one that can cause a lot of debate, especially in Adventist circles. But then, just going back to our point, the Lord calls us, come, let us reason together. These drugs, if you go to school, they help in managing, they work differently. The way an NSAID work is not the same way an antibacterial work, it's not the same way a drug that is used to manage pressure work. Each drug is created to help in different ways. But I'll really encourage us to use drugs when prescribed by a physician or when prescribed under a hospital setup. The reason is this. Let's say, for example, one of the leading killing diseases in Africa, it's still malaria. And it's something that can be cured if you use the right drug. And the mechanism of how that drug works is that it prevents the multiplication of the plasmodium, which causes the disease to manifest in that place. Also, the other thing, I know we are talking a lot about rest and the use of natural remedies, which I also advocate. But then also remember, a simple headache can be as a result of being tired, but then the same headache can also be as a result of something like meningitis. The same headache can be a tumor that is manifesting on your brain. That's why even when you see these prescriptions, one of the things that they say is, maumivu yakizidi fanya nini? Muone nani? Muone daktari, so that you can get the right diagnosis. Sometimes you can even sleep and the headache is still persistent. Sometimes you can even rest and the pain is still doing what? It's still persistent. That's why you need to go to the hospital, because a simple headache can be as simple as just not taking enough water, or it can also be as complex as meningitis. And people die when some of these conditions are not taken, are not managed as soon as possible. So I'll really encourage us to use our brains, because some of this, let's say for example, a case like HIV, for example, drugs really help people who have HIV to live longer. But if you do not take some of these antiretroviral drugs, trust you me, you will quickly manifest into the 4th stage and you will end up dead. it helps. Of course, every drug, the pharmacist will tell you it has its own side effects. Same case, even my brother here, I know, may not agree, but even when you use natural, they also have their own side effects. So it's just have to have a balance. A good example from Ellen White, there was a person, for example, who refused to use quinine at that particular time. And Ellen White was critiquing her because she refused to use the available methodology the available methodology that was to be used in the treatment of malaria. So we need to just have a thin balance even when you're using drugs. So don't self-prescribe, but we can't wholesomely say all drugs are bad, because drugs help, and trust you me, there are many other conditions that if we look for those natural ways, we still do not know those natural ways, as we may call them, quote unquote, of managing these conditions. But we have doctors amongst us, and this knowledge has been given to us. We can still use drugs and in the management, and we can help come better.
There was a question, in the same question, there was that part that says human beings do respect doctors than God. So I think it's logic. I don't know, we can just pass over that. So the next question, sleeping paralysis, could it be categorized as a mental illness, and what's the treatment?
Okay, sleep paralysis is a sleep disorder. It's among the sleep disorders, and it has a name, narcolepsy. It needs medication. The pharmacist anajua the type of medicines, and then it also needs psychotherapy, because when a sleep becomes a disorder, there are so many underlying issues that lead to this stuff to be a sleep disorder. I guess nimekuwa answer, sio? I also want to answer my friend about what you asked about masturbation, right? Yeah. We have sexual disorders. It's a lesson of 2 to 3 hours, but it's among the sexual disorders. Because 1, it causes distress. Number 2, it alters the normal daily functions, because when you are addicted to masturbation, you need to please your dopamine. You need to elevate it. So while you will be working in an office, and then immediately the urge comes, you stop working, and then you're going to do it. You see? So it is a sexual disorder that also needs medication. I think there are some blockers you usually use, and then psychotherapy. We're trying to change his thinking, and why he's doing that, trying to reconnect. There's a technique called cognitive restructuring. We're trying to identify as psychologists what is the problem, what really makes him do the masturbation, and then we're trying to evaluate the thoughts, identify the feelings, and then we come with now what we call decision making. I also want to answer, I hope I've answered you. Have I answered you?
No, it's a 2-part question, so yeah. Maybe you'll get to talk with him after
I'll
this.
talk to you, maybe you see me.
In addition to that, there are people who are addicted to sex. Like you are married, but people complain in the house, you are too much. Beyond human control. It's a disorder as well. Like you do it too much. Yeah, it's beyond. And as well, there are people, like their target is by the end of the year they want to do like 100 women or 100 men. It's a disorder as well. You may think they're okay, but they have a disorder where now they've been addicted to that to the point where now they cannot survive without. So they want to go to the next level. So when you find such complaints, they need a psychiatrist and as well as a psychologist.
I say, for you to know a disorder, you must be having a problem with yourself, with another person, or work. Sexual disorder is a big thing. It's a topic that we cannot exhaust today because there are myriad of types that we cannot exhaust today. But in short, it's a serious problem that if you have such, just find us and we'll solve it. We'll help you overcome it.
I think I also want to answer a friend just because of time. There's a friend of ours who asked about what self methods will you use to protect yourself from being a victim. I think that was the question.
No, to lifestyle changes techniques in identifying the disorder, the self-driven techniques.
One, a disclaimer. One, I cannot tell that I'm mentally ill as a person. Get me right. Unless somebody else who knows me better, ataniambia, Amos, you're behaving in a different way, and this has changed. But as a person, you can't really tell. But there are so many ways you can use to stop, to reduce the chances of becoming mentally ill. Number one, you need to do what we call, you need to look at self. Self means you need to manage your time well. You need to have your routine, your way of doing things as a person. You also need to see how you're thinking as a person. Is my thinking really going to lead me to a problem? If yes, then change your thinking as well as your feelings, as well as your behaviors. I don't know where we are getting each other. Self-management, because you start by, and then speak out your mind. Speak out your mind to people, especially those who are closer to you. Just speak out your mind, how are you feeling? And then this thing we usually take like, it's not serious, exercises. Exercises really help a lot. I hope I'm answering you. Yeah.
On top of that, there are things that we can do that can as well relieve us. You know of our women ministry, Nature Sabbath, youths, Nature Sabbath, or going for a walk, for mountain climbing, for road trip, these things, for swimming. Look for things that as well can relieve you out of stresses. Ensure as well, like go to places like Ngong Hills, places where you cannot use money, but they make you be relieved. Do not work from Monday to Monday and you expect your body to respond the same way. You are working under stress for the whole year. What do you expect to your mind? Get things that as well can make you relieved. Take time off and accept situations that you cannot handle. If you are 50 years, maybe 60 years, and you are not rich, don't strain yourself to be rich. Accept that you cannot be rich and accept the status and live with the status that you are. You cannot struggle beyond what you are able to do. Accept it and move on. Thank you.
As we finish, actually we have the 7 doctors, the new start. I think everything we are talking here is just making us go back to the new start. Please, let's do them. May God bless you.
Dr. Sibor, your last.
My last thing. Do we know about caregivers? We know about caregivers. Everybody is a caregiver. And by the way, we've realized as psychologists that the most affected people are the caregivers. Because of time, I'll love to tell you that we came up with a platform. It's called an International Network for Mental Health Caregivers. It's a platform that discusses about caregivers, how we educate each other, tell you techniques and ways to use to maneuver so that your mental health will not be stuck, right? It's called INMEC, an international network for mental health caregivers. It's in Facebook. You'll follow, you'll ask a question there. We are there to answer you. International Network for Mental Health Caregivers, INMEC. Thank you.
Happy Sabbath. I take this opportunity to thank all of you for waiting up to now. Indeed, it was a very interesting session because we still have a lot of questions unanswered. We are going to plan another one like this, and all those your concerns will be answered. I'll give you my number so that when you have a specific concern, you can reach me. Of course, I have a private practice called Nairobi Psychological Home. If you fear Madari is not good for you, or the stigma, we can talk candor, because we want to serve you better. We don't want the stigma, and our main goal is your health, specifically your mental health. If you can write, my number is 0720 42 38 20. 0720 42 38 20. Please feel free to call me, and we can discuss any other condition that we are unable to answer here because of time. Thank you very much. May God bless you.
Dr. Alex, finishing remarks.
May God bless you, and let's live positively. You know, don't struggle beyond what you are able. You know, one day you are born, and one day you do what? And you cannot conquer. Solomon said, all is what? Kama watoto wako hajafika university, wacha kusumbukana nayo. Wacha udini na chenye uko na uishi maisha mzuri. Thank you.
Bosire.
Yeah, my last word will be a psalm. We're still in church, so I'll read it. It's the book of Psalms, Psalms chapter 13, from verse 1 to 6. It says, "How long, O Lord, will you forget me? Forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long shall I take counsel in my soul, having sorrow in my heart daily? How long will my enemy be exalted over me? Consider and hear me, O Lord my God. Enlighten my eyes, lest I sleep the sleep of death, lest my enemy say, I have prevailed against him, lest those who trouble me rejoice when I am moved. But I have trusted in your mercy. My heart shall rejoice in your salvation. I will sing to the Lord because he has dealt bountifully with me." It's my prayer that this psalm may be a blessing to you, and may God bless you.
Thank you so much. Together with my panelists, I really want to thank you so much for taking time. Indeed, we've been pleased to have you on board. That's all the time we had for today. And it's been amazing to share and to get your thoughts. We couldn't take all questions, unfortunately, but next time we'll try to work on time so that we capture everything. So, good evening.
Happy Sabbath. I'm sure I don't want to ask, but I'm sure we're all blessed by this session. I apologize, I had to limit on the number of questions, but I believe we all understand we are so pressed on time. So if possible, we'll organize another session where we can exchange with our medical specialists, especially I want to understand that mental health is such a big thing, because mental health disorders lead to other things, lead to rather high blood pressure, all sorts of medical conditions. So we'll organize another session like this where we can exchange ideas, we can ask more questions that have not been addressed in this session, and we believe the Lord will bless us and help us with the little that we're able to gather this evening. To our panelists, I just want to say thank you very much, from Beatrice, Amos, Sibur, Alex, Bosire, and John Felix. I just want to say may God bless you so much for finding time to come and enlighten us on mental health problems that have become a daily issue. So may God bless you so much. If we extend another invitation, kindly find time, just come as we serve the children of God. I think they gave their final remarks. Beatrice is one of us, Amos, Sibur, Alex is a member of this church, but is not here every Sabbath. So wherever he'll be fellowshipping next Sabbath, together with our guest, Bosire, to our penini, to our salam. I think we'll just rise up, and then Brother Bosire atatufungia kwa ombi la mwisho.